All right, good evening and welcome to the September 2nd, 2025 meeting of the Hickory City Council. At this time, I would like to ask the Reverend Dr. Nick Perrin to the podium for our invocation. He's a senior pastor for Corinth Reformed Church. I would ask that if you're able to please stand for the invocation and remain standing after the invocation for the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, let us pray. Heavenly Father, we gather here thankful for those who've gone before, the forefathers of this city who through their hard work, their innovation, the risks that they took, and their trust in you made Hickory what it is today. And I pray for Mayor Guest, I pray for the councilmen and councilwomen who are gathered here, for the citizens of Hickory, Lord, that you would be present in this meeting. Father, I pray that the policy decisions that they make would be wise, that they would be just, that they would be righteous, and that Hickory would be all that you want it to be, according to your divine will. Lord, I also want to take this opportunity to thank you for the Hickory Football Club who are gathered here. Thank you for putting on the hearts of the sponsors and the innovators of Hickory football that you gave us one more reason to be proud about Hickory. And thank you for the excellence of that team demonstrated on a national level. We're so thankful for so many things, but most of all, we pray that your presence would be here and that your voice would speak. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. All right, we have some very special guests here today and some very special presentations that we'll be making here at the beginning of our meeting this morning. I doubt that there's anyone in the room that hasn't heard the news about our national champion Hickory FC team, staff, club owners, members, fans. So we want to take this opportunity, of course, to recognize and celebrate Hickory FC. And I want to lead that off. I'm going to ask some of them to come here shortly, but well, we can just go ahead and do that right now. How about Jonathan? How about having everybody that's with Hickory FC to come on up, and I want to come up here and read a proclamation, and then we'll have some introductions and some other things. So, if you would, just, yeah, let's get them all up.
Stand where we are. Stand where we are.
Yeah, whatever you want to do. There's no rules.
Rules in this room?
It's just like soccer. You don't know what time it is. Yeah. You don't know what time it is until it's over. That's what I learned about soccer. I was like, what time is it over? We don't know yet. Well, when the ref says it's over, that's when it's over. We do want to, on behalf of the entire city council, we want to take this opportunity to publicly, I know that it's been a while, but I hope everybody in the audience understands, because one of the questions I got immediately after they won the national championship was, well, when is there going to be the parade and the celebration? Well, I can understand the reasoning behind that question, but as I spoke with different people from the owners and the staff, we quickly learned that not only did some of the players have to leave immediately after the game that was in California, but some of the ones that did return here to Hickory had to leave shortly after that. So it just wasn't easy to prepare and to do your typical type of celebration. But there have been, and I'll let y'all talk more about that later, but there have been individual celebrations, and this is one of those individual celebrations that we wanted to make sure that the public was invited to this evening. This proclamation that I'm about to read is in depth, but it is all pertinent and it all explains the journey that Hickory FC has been on since their infancy. So I'll go ahead and read this for you. It says, whereas Hickory Football Club, representing the city of Hickory with distinction and honor, has achieved unprecedented success and brought tremendous pride and national recognition to our community through their exceptional performance during the 2025 National Premier Soccer League season. And whereas in only their second season of competition, Hickory FC demonstrated remarkable excellence by capturing the Southeast Conference Championship, galvanizing our community through their unwavering determination, exemplary teamwork, and relentless pursuit of athletic excellence. And whereas Hickory FC's historic championship run continued with their triumphant victory in the South Region Championship, establishing the club among the nation's most elite semi-professional soccer organizations and elevating Hickory's prominence in the national sports landscape. Whereas on August the 2nd, 2025, Hickory FC achieved the ultimate glory in American semi-professional soccer by defeating the defending national championships, El Farolito in San Francisco, California, to claim the 2025 NPSL National Championship, a historic first both for the club and the city of Hickory. And whereas Hickory FC completed an extraordinary and perfect undefeated season, maintaining the remarkable distinction of never trailing in a single match throughout the entire campaign, thereby demonstrating unmatched consistency, mental fortitude, and athletic dominance from the season's opening match to its championship conclusion. Whereas the club's on-field excellence was matched and unprecedented with community support, as Hickory FC repeatedly shattered attendance records throughout the season, accumulating in a record-breaking crowd of 6,247 passionate fans on July the 26th, 2025, in the national semifinals at Moretz Stadium, demonstrating the deep connection between the team and our community. Whereas the team's remarkable achievements were masterfully orchestrated under the exceptional leadership of head coach Carlos Rubio, whose strategic brilliance and inspirational guidance earned him the recognition as 2025 NPSL Coach of the Year, bringing forth honor to our city. And whereas Hickory FC's outstanding player, Antonio Pineda, some of these names get to me, Antonio Pineda, distinguished himself through extraordinary individual excellence, earning the prestigious honors of both Southeast Conference Player of the Year and NPSL National Player of the Year, becoming the first athlete from Hickory to achieve such a national recognition in semi-professional soccer. And last but not least, whereas historic achievements of the Hickory Football Club have generated immense community pride, significantly enhanced Hickory's visibility and reputation on the national stage, strengthened civic unity, attracted positive economic impact through increased tourism and regional attention, and inspired countless young athletes throughout our city and the greater Catawba Valley region to pursue their athletic dreams with dedication and excellence. Now therefore, I, Hank Guest, Mayor of the City of Hickory, North Carolina, on behalf of the Hickory City Council, proclaim September the 2nd, 2025 as Hickory Football Club Day in the City of Hickory, and encourage all residents to congratulate Hickory FC on their championship, dated this 2nd day of September, 2025. Now,
even you, Brock.
And even you.
Council members, y'all come up too. We got to get pictures done.
I didn't learn anything.
All right. You get the honors? All right. Let's get all of our council members up here. We're going to take some pictures, of course. You don't have anything happening on tonight, and a picture of it. Get in here, everybody. Get in here. We got to get everybody in the picture. And the trophy. There's the trophy right side.
Tommy, that is the design.
All right. Now we got to do, well, you have official. Yes, sir.
just gonna just a little bit.
Oh,
And then you would have.
good? Oh, we got the flag. Got the flag.
I'll do it for a second.
Got everybody?
That with me?
All right. Do we have more than one spokesperson, or do we have a primary spokesperson for Hickory FC? Who's with who? You can stand at ease. I didn't know who that might be. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I figured you'd want to say something.
Oh, look, if anybody knows me, I can speak. It's not a problem.
The floor is yours,
So,
sir.
I thought since we're in front of city council, I've got an investor deck that we could just pull up on the screen here. Is that the right place to do that? Just super quick, and by the way, boys, you should tell Tony that his name got messed up because his ego could be, national player of the year. But it's okay. No, it was critically adjusted. So just a couple of statistics I wanted to throw out, because one of the things I think that where this family is, we've got owners, we got staff, we got players, volunteers. This family is very proud of, and not just the national championship. And there were some statistics that Jonathan, our fearless leader, head of operations.
You can only get so much on one page.
Oh, no. I went as far as I could on that project. We did. So think about this. Hickory, North Carolina. The YouTube stream for the championship game had about 12,000 views, where our town, our county, our sponsors, and our partners were all mentioned on this stream. 12,000. There were over 30 countries represented that was watching that stream. So something to think about when we think about, yes, we won a national championship, but the reach of our community across the world was a pretty special thing. Social engagement in the 30 days during that time, during the national championship, over 5 million views across our social platforms. 5 million, that's a huge number. Something I'm proud of that my partners I don't think are aware of just yet, because I just found out myself. We've done well on season tickets for next year, so we're selling season tickets now. Go to hickoryfc.com and buy your season tickets. Thank you. 46% of our purchases so far are folks that did not have season tickets the last 2 years. So this continues to grow. It's something that we're obviously really proud of. Mayor mentioned the 6,300 that came to the game. We had over 40,000 in total for our home games. So I say all that just to say how blessed we all feel to have a community that has supported this kind of mission. Yeah, it's a football club, but what I love is that what we love is to see people in the stands kind of having neighborhood barbecues throughout the stadium, just enjoying each other. It's an inexpensive night out. It's a safe place. You see a ton of diversity, whether it's racial or religious or socioeconomic, and something that we're proud of. And honestly, I say that to say we take a lot of pride in making sure that what we continue to do on a go-forward basis makes you all proud. So thank you for the support you give back to us. Wait, is this when I ask for money and we do the
So the national championship next year will be on the field at Barrett Stadium, is that what?
Are you asking for a guarantee? Is that what you're
We'll talk.
We'll talk later. Right? Okay, thanks.
We appreciate all of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here and everything you've done. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
All right, and we're going to continue with the recognition and celebration. As some of you may know, we have members of the Hickory Public Housing Authority Commission here with us this evening, and I want to take this opportunity on behalf of this entire City Council to thank them for their tremendous service as they served on the Board of Commissioners, and sometimes it may not have been a pleasant service, but they were always dedicated and committed, and the end result was tremendous. So we want to take this opportunity to not only to recognize them, but to give them a small token of appreciation, a gift from us. First of all, let me introduce them. We had our chair, Mr. Wes Christopher. We had our vice chair, Ms. Sherry Griffith, and our commissioners. Jeff Klein had to leave. He was here earlier, but he had a prior commitment, and he had to leave, of course. And I don't think I see Reverend David Roberts is not here with us right now. He's not able to be here. But Janice Thompson is also here, and Gary Fulbright is here. And also part of their team, they weren't commissioners, but they certainly did have a tremendous role and a part in all of the decisions that were made. We have, of course, the executive director, not only for the Western Piedmont Council of Government, but he was also the director for the board, the executive director for the board, and also we have Stephanie Harvey was here. She was the Regional Housing Authority Director, but Anthony Starr and her were both here as well. So if all of you would please come up front, and we have not only, like I said, we want to bestow our appreciation for you, but we also have a small gift on behalf of the council that we would like to give to you as well. And then council members want to make any comments.
Oh, yeah.
You do that?
You will.
You know I will.
All right, ladies first. We greatly appreciate your time and your efforts and your dedication. And I ought to say this too. This is a strictly volunteer group. This was not a paid group. They did this out of their own heart, felt led to do it, and they were extremely dedicated and they were extremely professional. And I can't tell you how much it means to the city of Hickory to have had this group plus the ones that are absent leading the charge for such an important aspect of the future for our community. So again, on behalf of the council, thank you greatly for your service and your time and your commitment. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Now, oh, man, show us a picture. If you don't have a
Picture.
it didn't happen.
Picture.
You gotta have your picture made. If you don't have your picture made, it didn't happen. And will anybody be seeing? Well, I'll see Dr. Andrew Roberts. David Roberts. David Roberts. I'll see him. All right. Come on up here. Get all the council. We'll get in between so we can see everybody. They come up here. However you want. Y'all all of them. Everybody had a role in this, so y'all come up here too. There are council members up here. Get your exercise.
Come in.
Yeah, make sure everybody gets their exercise.
Have y'all come in a little bit.
Got it? All right, thank you. And, do any of you want to say?
I do.
Okay. All right. We're gonna take just a minute here and allow some of our council members to make some remarks, and congratulations to our outgoing members from the Hickory Housing Authority Board as well.
I just want to start out saying we all, our entire community, owe you for your dedication, your hard work. You stepped up and stepped in where others failed, and our entire community owes you a huge thank you.
Certainly to the former Hickory Public Housing Board. I'm already on record of certainly articulating my accolades for all of you and for your due diligence in this journey. It affected my ward, which is Ward 4, and this process brought a lot of passion out of me. But I believe that what was fair and just during this journey was certainly executed, and I want to say thank you so very much. You guys brought me out of my shell as a turtle, and now you can see I'm back in my shell. I'm I'm waiting for the next thing that's going to push me out of my shell, but I say thank you so very much.
I just want to say thank you very much, as everyone else has so far, that it was a tough job, and nobody likes to walk into something like that. But I appreciate y'all being brave enough to do that, and taking the bull by the horn, so to speak, and making sure everything fell in the right place. Thank you so much.
We certainly are on the right track, and we're delighted that you were part of getting it straightened out. Thank you very, very much.
I just want to say thank you as well to the commissioners, but also to everybody that worked together as a team to really create what we needed to create to rectify some of the things that we knew were issues, but were so challenging that we seemed to be in a stalemate for such a long time. And the people that really were impacted by it were the residents and the people that are recipients of our housing authority program. And I'm just happy that we're starting to clear things up and able to provide the service that is really due to them, as well as hopefully improve on affordable housing for our residents.
Absolutely. Thank you for your service. The thing that really stood out to me is the instant increase in professionalism of how you ran this commission, and it was noticed. I want you to know that, and much appreciated. So thank you for everything that you did.
Thank you again. All right, we're going to continue. This goes right in line with the congratulations and the thank yous that we just gave, because next up we'll have a presentation by Western Piedmont Council of Governments Executive Director Anthony Starr pertaining to regional housing.
And I'm gonna start out with a
Okay,
little
I'm sorry.
preliminary warm-up act for.
Okay, I'm
Anthony.
sorry, I didn't
Yeah,
know
no,
that.
that's okay. So I should have I've got a few slides. So Anthony Starr is going to go over, the COG covers the four-county region, so he's going to go over the regional data. I'm going to talk just quickly about some Hickory-specific information related to housing and what we're seeing. We've had these accolades, top 10 most affordable places, and usually these are metro area. It says Hickory, but oftentimes when you see these accolades and recognition, it's oftentimes the MSA. And that's the case with all of these that we've recently received. And people see this, and somebody looking for a place to move. I mean, we're on the radar screens, and it's happening. So we are seeing that happen. Just some quick Hickory-specific housing facts. These are from the 2023 American Community Survey. That's the Census Bureau does that once every 5 years. This is the most recent data I have, but it'll give you a sense of where we are. So over 19,000 total units. That's all types, multifamily, single family. 56% of those units are owner occupied. 45% of the housing built in Hickory was built before 1980. So at one point, we had the oldest housing stock of any metro area in the state. And that's a high number, but it's starting to change. So 35% of the occupied housing is valued at $200,000 or less. About 10% of those units, of the total units, are vacant. So there's almost 2,000 vacant, either single-family, multifamily, different types of housing, which is quite a bit. The median rent is $975 a month, or below the state average. The median home value is $248,000. Now, I was looking at some MLS data, and the median sale price for July in Hickory was $285,000. So that gives you an idea of the first house I bought in Hickory was $55,000, but that was 35 years ago. So 64% of homeowners have a mortgage payment. 55% of homes with a mortgage payment pay less than $1,500 per month. So this next percentage, 69% of occupants have lived in Hickory, have lived in their home or their dwelling since 2010. They haven't moved. So about 70% of folks that live in Hickory have not moved. since 2010. So, and some of that, and Anthony may hit on this, is, the interest rates, if you locked in at a 3% interest rate and now it's 7 or 6, it becomes difficult to move because your mortgage payment's going to change up, pretty drastically if you're trying to move up. But, we see a backlog of people, of housing being available for people to make that next move up, which opens up that entry-level type home. So that's part of the issue here with affordability and mobility with housing in Hickory. And you can stop me when we go through this. So residential building permit activity in Hickory. So over the last 7 years, there's been over 2,800 residential units built in Hickory. That's all types. People talk about there's X number of thousand homes in the pipeline. I look at permitted numbers. Those are the ones that once you get a housing permitted, you're pretty much locked into building a house. That 11-year period, 2007, 2017, there was only 713 housing units built of some type in Hickory. So you can see the annual average. So we were stagnant pretty much for quite a while. And if you go back a little further, the numbers are still pretty stagnant. So you can see how things have changed. And the good news is there's a decent mix between single-family, multifamily. Townhomes are really hot too, but there's been a good mix, not only in the type of housing, but geographically in the city. It's been all over in all 4 quadrants. The city's core role in housing is zoning, permitting, water and sewer, and other types of infrastructure. Those are the core things that we're involved in related to housing development in Hickory. However, we do, around the fringes, we are involved in other ways. One of the best ways to move the needle on low to moderate income housing in Hickory is through the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency. They have a tax credit program where private developers will build the lodge behind the Walmart grocery store on Highway 70 as an example. I mean, these are nice multifamily units that are built, and it's a tax credit program. There's only about 20 of these that they award every year throughout the whole state. It's a very competitive process. There may be hundreds of applicants, and they're only issuing out 20 of those annually. We also have our housing rehab program that the city administers through our community development program and urgent repair program as well. We have a relationship with Habitat for Humanity on water and sewer taps for new homes that they build. We are involved in the down payment assistance program through the Unifor Home Consortium. We've gotten into taking some of these vacant lots the city has come into possession of over the years and helped facilitate creating low to moderate income housing on those. And basically what we're doing is discounting the value of the land. We've had 18 of those completed to date. There'll be another round that'll be up and coming. And those are selling $160,000, $170,000. That gives you, that's about as cheap as you can build a house. And we're discounting the property to make that happen. And they're contractually obligated to sell it at a certain level. But that's considered low to moderate income housing. And you just, with the Hickory Public Housing Authority Board and the action that they took and you all took, they have 555 Section 8 vouchers. They were, the previous board before this one was leaving a lot of those unutilized. And those Section 8 vouchers go to families to locate them in, more often than not, multifamily complexes that accept the Section 8. So they're going to be able to add 270 additional families to the list of folks being served. Western Piedmont Council of Governments, with all the vouchers that they administer, they have about a 98% placement rate, utilization rate on those vouchers, and that 2% is the churn, people moving up. So they've got a really good track record with the Section 8 vouchers. So that was a monumental policy decision that City Council made. I mean, that's going to make a real difference in people's lives. Talking about back to the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency, this multifamily new units that have been built. So there's been, since the program started, since the state started that program, about 600 new units have been built for low to moderate income folks in Hickory. And you can see we've outpaced the rest of the county and even the surrounding counties. We've done well in working with private sector developers in their application and their process to get awarded one of those tax credit projects. So that's been really successful. You know, we talk about the value of housing. Also, we need to talk about income, because that's what dictates what you can afford to buy. Just a little breakdown of Hickory's population. We have about 16% of our population's retirement age, 26% are school age or younger. So we have about 58% of our total population is working age. So we've got 46,000 residents. We just got our new census numbers out, or new from the state, our new state demographer office numbers. So 58% of that number is considered working age. There were only 835 unemployed residents in Hickory. Those are folks that are looking for a job that can't find one. That's actually a relatively low number. I mean, our unemployment rate's in the threes, which is considered full employment. 90% of Hickory residents have a high school diploma or higher, and 36% have a bachelor's degree or higher. We're growing about 1% a year based on the new numbers we got. People think we have explosive growth. I mean, our population has been about 1% a year over the last 5 years or so. So this is important. So again, these are from the American Community Survey numbers, but in 2023, the average income was less than $50,000 annually for 27% of families in Hickory. If there's any good news in that, is that 2014, that number was 47%. So it's been a downward trend in the number of people, percentage of families earning less than $50,000 a year in Hickory.
Are the retirement age people included in that amount, in that number?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And you may have people that just have Social Security. So income versus wage. Income is everything, and wage is people working. So the retirees and people on disability, they're all considered in that income calculation versus folks that are working. Just folks that are working, that's everybody. So City Council's done a really good job working with the Catawba County Economic Development Corporation and others. So since 2019, there's been 1,700 new jobs announced in Hickory through our economic development incentives grants. And those grants require these industries and companies to pay the average county wage, which on an annual basis translates into $54,000 a year. As a minimum, they have to pay that. However, recently we've upped that to 110% of that number, which pushes it closer to $60,000 a year. And the truth is that when they do the reporting on what they have paid the employees that they've hired, it always exceeds. It's in the 60s. If not, some of the jobs are higher than that, but all the jobs have to pay at least that. So increasing income improves affordability of housing. So that's what we have been. So there's two pieces of this, and I went over some of the programs we have, but there's also the side of increasing income. We can't dictate what companies pay, but for the ones that we incentivize to come here or expand, we can through contractually. So that's the way that has worked. So that's kind of a snapshot of Hickory's numbers, Hickory specific, and Anthony, again, he's going to go over the metro area, which is important because our workforce comes pretty much from the four-county region. So we're dependent on what happens in Caldwell and Burke and Alexander. Any questions?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just say the interest rate in 1978 when we bought our house was 9.25% interest.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think had come down a little bit and it started going back up.
Yeah. I mean, by traditional measure where we are today is a pretty good interest rate, but when you're getting a 3% interest rate,
when it got down to
full.
7, I refinanced.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Anthony might speak to this, but this is not unique to Hickory, what we're going through. I think there was a perfect storm, and you correct me if I'm wrong. We went through COVID, and work from home went from being kind of something that was going to roll out over a decade or more to instantaneous. And you had the metro flight of people leaving Charlotte and different places because they could work from home. Well, they left with low interest rates, 3%, 2.98, whatever. Plus, they left with stimulus money to make down payments. And there was this huge surge of demand in Hickory and everywhere else, or not everywhere, but certain places for market rate housing. And it's going to take us time to catch up from that. You know, I mean, we have to get through that. And, you know, we can't build, houses aren't built in a day, you know. So that's the way I'm seeing it. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that is accurate. And, you know, the more there is of something, the less expensive it is. So that's why it's important that we keep building, having houses built to create that next level of home for people to move up out of it into the new home, which opens up, you know, the lower expensive home. So
Yeah, the starter homes
starter
and
homes.
things like that.
There has certainly been we've approved of a lot of housing, and I think that speaks well that it will eventually flesh out so that there is enough housing and that pricing can stabilize.
Yeah, and when I meet with managers in the other rest of the region, I'll say, you know, we don't want all the housing. It has to be spread out. It has to be divvied out amongst the 4 counties. I think City Council's done I think you've disapproved one that I can recall, but all the others you have approved. We have a pretty generous zoning ordinance related to folks being able to build residential housing in Hickory. And again, we're seeing it all over town, not just in one place, which is good. All right.
All right, Anthony, that's your introduction.
His is longer than mine, so.
Thank you again,
Take a while.
Anthony.
Thunder.
Yeah, you got this right.
Well, thank you, Mayor and Council. Mr. Wood, for inviting me to come join you this evening and talk a little bit about what's happening with housing on a regional basis. Mr. Wood covered some really good points that kind of fit in and to what Mr. Wood mentioned, what you mentioned, as well as you know, applicable. What applies to Hickory applies to the region oftentimes too. So, you know, I won't spend much time on this, but the COG, you know, for those, the council certainly knows this, but we're an organization that's owned by the 28 local governments in the 4-county area. And so we provide a number of housing services on behalf of our local governments like Hickory, from, you know, the Regional Housing Authority to rehab services to the administering the home consortium that Warren spoke about earlier, to tracking progress on the housing issue because it's a strategic importance to Hickory and the entire region. And of course, we have a homelessness response team as well. So let me just dive right in on what the data really tells us. So as I mentioned, we track the data for the region on what is being constructed. And Warren's right in terms of we track building permits because you can get zoning approvals and those are good indicators to use, but sometimes it's uneven how quickly a project will become on the ground before, since its approval to when it actually happens, it can be a little uneven. But building permits are a really good measure because that's a pretty proximate to the actual construction happening. And we track this because what we do with these spreadsheets is to try to show each community how they're meeting a target that we kind of regionally set of 1% to 2% population growth per year. That's a good, healthy rate that we target and want everybody to achieve. Why is that important? You know, we've talked about this through the years, but it's worth emphasizing again. If you look at the data here and the 2 circles I've got on the slide, the one on the top there represents from the 2020 census the number of children and young adults from 10 to 19 years old. And what do they represent? They represent our workforce that is the future and entering the workforce now, okay? And you look at the bottom 2 numbers that are circled there, that's our population 55 to 64 in the region. And that represents workers that are approaching or already retiring from the workforce. And the difference between those 2 cohorts at the same time, it means that with no other people moving into the region, we're going to have about 8,329 fewer workers available to fill our jobs over the coming years. And so our population growth comes primarily from in-migration because our births in our region, not unique to our region, it's a nationwide trend, our births do not keep up with the number of deaths that occur in our community. And so in-migration is the way that we will maintain the workforce that we have and grow it. And so if you're going to grow your workforce, when people retire, they usually don't leave their home. So in order to replace that worker, you need a new housing unit for someone to move into that's coming in from somewhere else. And people will say, well, we don't have room in our schools, that traffic, there's on case-by-case basis that you, as a council, carefully weigh. There are, factors to consider in approving this development or another development. But schools, I will say, on the macro level, we have a lot of capacity for students. In fact, over the last 15 years, none of our school systems have experienced a growth in students in that period of time, right? Now, they have in recent years, some of them, but all of our school systems have anywhere from 9 to 24% less students in those systems, in the 6 school systems in our region. Now, I would say there are individual schools that are at or approaching capacity, but all of our school systems have capacity for new students. And that means that we can accommodate growth in the right areas. Now, that new growth might require new construction of schools, it might require redistricting, it might require expansion of schools, but that's a good problem to have. And we had that as a factor that was a phenomenon that was occurring in the 90s and early 2000s. And then we went through a long period there where we didn't have growth, and so we're now getting back into that phase now where we are starting to see student population growth in individual school districts. But overall, our school systems continue to see declining enrollment and or flat. So that growth, what does it look like? The housing construction in the last 3 years for the region. You can see here the single-family units continue to increase, particularly for Catawba County. It went from 725 in 2022. These are actually actual homes that were permitted with building permits. So the vast majority of these have or are being constructed. Went from 725 to 1,003 to 1,321. And for the region, that's 1,300 to almost 2,000 homes per year that we're constructing in the region that we need, right? Multifamily units, also, it's kind of up and down, but if you went back 10 years, that number would be really, really low for multifamily for our region. The last 3 years, because it's a smaller number, it does tend to fluctuate from year to year, so I wouldn't get locked in on that so much, but you can see that we're in a good place where we're increasing 1 to 2% in population annually as a region. Some communities are accelerating faster than others. That's always the case with any regional economy, and Hickory is certainly the anchor point in our region economically, and that, for the rest of the region to grow, Hickory needs to be growing as well. So if you put all those single-family homes on a map, that's what that looks like. Each green dot is a single-family home. If I'd shown you this map a few years ago, it would look like a lot less homes there, and it would be mostly concentrated around the lakes. You can see now that it's spread out around a good bit. It's more concentrated in the municipalities where the infrastructure is located, but also in the southeastern Catawba County where there's some infrastructure as well. You're seeing strong growth there as well. So about home prices, the lack of supply coupled with high demand, has led to some pretty significant increases in home prices. And if you look at our region with MLS data, the median home price, and median is not average, that median means there's an equal number of homes above it and an equal number of homes below it. That median home price has risen from $125,000 in 2014 to $299,000 this year. And if you think, well, maybe we're building bigger homes, in some cases, yes, in some cases not. But overall, the price per square foot in the last 8 years has also doubled from $100 a square foot to $200 a square foot. So that represents a 139% increase in the median home price. But the good news is that the wage rates in our region have also increased 148% since that same time. Now, that means that, we started from remember in 2014, economically, we were digging out, right, from the 2008 recession, but really started before that for us in 2001. And so we've seen good growth with our wage rates. That's in part due to the work that Hickory has done and the EDC and our other counties in the region to increase the good jobs that we have. So while the wage rates are faster, grow more than the median home price, there's still crunches out there, right? It depends on which segment of the population you're in and what your wage rates are. Back in 2022, we did some surveys with the comprehensive economic development strategy that we developed for the region, and at that point, only 10% of the residents said that we had enough housing in the region. And I think probably a lot would still say that in the region. Over 50% said that their communities need more affordable housing. About 37% said they spent more than a third of their income on housing. And the general rule is you don't want to spend more than 30% of your income on housing, or you're what's called cost burdened for your housing. And so same thing, similar number with homeowners as well during that time. So if you break that down on what does that look like, well, if you take a $300,000 house, which is close to the median price, and you finance it for 30 years at, say, a 7% interest rate, and you make some assumptions about property taxes and insurance, and that can, fluctuate a little bit depending on which community you're in and what your credit score is and that sort of thing, you're going to need about $100,000 a year in household income to afford the median home price in our region. And not exceed that 30% of your income spent on housing. To put that in perspective, only about 26% of our households can do that. So only 26% of our households can afford the median home price. And what does that look like on the rent front? Well, we're seeing significant increases in rent as well. So HUD puts out the fair market rent rates for our region, which represent the cost to rent a moderately priced dwelling unit in our market. And so that fair market rent rate increased 28% in the last year and 49% over the last 5 years. So what does that tell you? That tells you we need more multifamily housing in our region, because the less supply there is, the greater these rates go up, right? It's always a supply and demand factor. There's a lot of factors, but we know history and data show us that is absolutely true, that when you have less supply or restriction on supply, that definitely increases the cost of housing.
And I don't mean to cut you off, but
yeah.
I believe I saw on the screen where Alexander with multifamily housing for a year had zero.
Yes.
If I saw that correctly.
There being a smaller county, it is kind of, that number is kind of up and down. So they've not had a lot of multifamily. In Alexander, they've got Bethlehem. And multifamily usually has to be in a place where you've got water and sewer. So you've got a small area in Bethlehem and then the town of Taylorsville. So as a county as a whole, they don't have a lot of area that facilitates multifamily development.
And that has been an issue with Bethlehem as it relates, and I don't want to dig that up, but as it was mentioned, that the surrounding counties also affect us as well.
Right,
So
yes,
I just wanted
for
to-
sure. And certainly Hickory has been leading the way in a lot of ways of facilitating new housing development that is needed. I don't think Hickory is overheated at this point with housing, but you have a good growth rate with housing at this point that I would classify as healthy. And you need that to continue. We need some communities in our region to have more housing growth than they currently have, but we have individual communities in our region that are doing well also.
But if the surrounding counties are not building at the rate that they should, and we are building hopefully even more, then there will be an option that it sort of balances out. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think they're all interrelated. Look, I think the supply is, about, I can't remember the exact percentage, but almost about half of our residents work in a county different in which they reside. So there's a lot of travel for people in their jobs. So I dare say a good many of Hickory residents are driving somewhere else, and a good many people obviously are coming to Hickory for jobs. So each community is not operating in a vacuum. You know.
Taylor's wonderful graph of inbound and outbound.
Yeah, yes, yeah, we do have that. So tax credit projects, as was mentioned before, there's a number of those, and we facilitate financing these tax credit projects. North Carolina Housing Finance Agency provides that approval and that process. As the home consortium, we provide some loans, short-term loans, to help make those projects viable. A number of those have been in Hickory. We've been doing this since the 90s. They're good for 20 years, where they have to rent. They get those tax credits and our loan, and in exchange for 20 years, they have to agree to rent to folks based on their income level. So there isn't any, they get the benefit from the federal government on the tax credits for tax liabilities they have. Other than that, they get a loan from us, and that's paid back over a few years. And so basically, to buy down those initial costs, they agree to lease their units at a lower rate according to people's income level. It's on a sliding scale. So we get, one or two of these, a year in the region, and we want to keep that going, because as they come off that 20-year cycle, they can then become market rate units, and they won't be as affordable. And in some cases, that's a good thing, but if all these return to market rate units, or we weren't bringing on new tax credit projects, then it would kind of make a little bit of a crunch for our lower income families in the region. There's a number of strategies that we developed that you, as the City of Hickory, have done a really good job already with. Many of these strategies with the housing toolkit that we put together, whether it's revitalization of existing structures, brownfield developments, policy allowing accessory dwellings is something that we recommend, whether to put someone's mother or mother-in-law, a caretaker, a child in an accessory dwelling unit, and facilitating that in our zoning and development rules, lessening code restrictions. What I tell other communities is, look, if your zoning only allows half-acre lots, you're just not going to see very much housing development. That's just not where the market is. The average home buyer can't afford that. The average builder can't make the finances work on that. And so greater density is needed in order to make today's housing work. And it's consumer choice. That's not what people are buying either. They don't want the large lots as often as they do. But there's all sorts of recommendations there in that toolkit in terms of we want to keep increasing the supply of market rate housing, because if we restrict that too much, then that will only cause housing prices to soar. You look at other regions in the country that have had very restrictive zoning practices, and it causes really extreme housing prices that really squeeze out parts of the community in terms of affordability. And so what I would say to that is, I've kind of put this slide together. There's 6 basic categories or factors that affect housing growth. Market conditions. There's only the 4 in red there you really can't control. The 2 in blue you can. So market conditions like interest rates and whether we're in a recession or a good growth period, you can't control as a city. Inflation and building costs, you can't control that. You can't control what the labor costs are for construction. You can't control what federal and state regulations that impact the cost of housing. The 2 areas that you can control have to do with local regulations and local infrastructure. You as Hickory have done a pretty good job on that already, and you just have to keep making progress on that. But Hickory's done a good job and been a leader in that area over the years. So if you want more information, we've got a really nice website that's been recognized nationally. It's on our website at /homebase. It's got maps, interactive maps, all sorts of data, recommendations. It's really comprehensive. Our team put that together. I'm really proud of the work that our staff did. That's a resource for you and the community. We're also working with the UNC, University of North Carolina, with their Carolina Across 100 program that develops strategies around setting direction and evaluating progress and building new recommendations that improve the housing situation in our region. So we're working with them as well to, try to be proactive. And of course, the COG serving as the coordinating agency of all the local governments in our region. You are one of the key participating local governments that help support the COG and the work that we do to work on housing. So I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have. Yes, sir.
How many people are in Section 8 housing? Do you have a number on that?
So I would say right now, with the vouchers that were transferred over from Hickory Housing, we had about 1,500 at the COG families on Section 8 housing, or housing choice of vouchers as they're called now. And we added the 556, so it puts us about 2,000 vouchers that we have available. All those Hickory, less than half of those Hickory Housing Authority vouchers were being utilized. And so we've sent out letters to about 140-something families this month to get those vouchers leased up. And we've secured additional funding from the U.S. Housing and Urban Development Department to fully lease those vouchers up. And that'll take some time, probably at least 6 to 12 months or more. But we're making good progress on that. So all in all, if we get all those vouchers leased up, we'll be around 2,000 families served each month.
Is there a minimum salary or wage that they would have to qualify?
No, because some people are disabled or older adults that don't have much income. So and the amount of assistance they get from us depends on their income level. So, if you qualify and you don't have very much income, say you only have Social Security or something like that, or disability, then we might pay a majority of your rent cost in that scenario. But on average, we're paying about $500 and something a month per unit.
And what would you say, and I'm sorry, but what would you say like the youngest age on those that are on Section 8?
Oh, it's small children. I mean, they're not the primary household,
Well,
but it's young
with the
adults with
ability
children.
to work, meaning, working age.
I'm sorry, I
21
didn't hear
and
you.
up, 21 and up. How many of those types of families?
It could be 18 and up, but they're certainly young adults. But I would say over half of our clients are either elderly or disabled.
Okay. So those that are 18 and up, what would you say, basically the change, excuse me, of those that are on Section 8, do they go off of and journey on buying their own homes, things of that nature? What is that turnover like?
Yeah, so we have what's called a family self-sufficiency coordinator on our staff, and her job is to work with the families on our program to get them to be self-sufficient. Because what we want for folks on Section 8, unless they're disabled or elderly, we want that just to be a temporary season of life that they are on getting public assistance. We want them to graduate to being self-sufficient. So we work with them to get to that place. Some get there faster than others, but certainly a certain number of them are going to be disabled or elderly, and that's just not going to be an option for them.
How long does a voucher last? Does it have to be renewed every year or every how often?
Good question. So we give the voucher initially, and then they go out and secure a home. They can rent any privately owned unit that a landlord's willing to participate with the program. And then each year, they check in with us at least once a year, and we inspect the unit to make sure that it's got good conditions, good living conditions, both the responsibility of the tenant but also the landlord, and they can keep doing that and get renewed each year. The HUD does not allow us to limit the number of years that one could be on the program.
That's what I like the most about the voucher system. You can live anywhere you want, pretty much.
Right.
As long as you got renters that are, wanting to have you in their units. So.
Right, yes. You
Yeah.
have freedom to move around in the region for sure. Yes, ma'am.
As far as someone who has apartments to rent to others, it's a sure thing. You're going to get paid as a landlord, which is a good thing.
That's right. That's how we market it to prospective landlords, is that, you have a reliable funding stream. We don't pay the tenants. We pay the landlords directly, and then the tenant pays their share to the landlord. So it's kind of a three-way kind of relationship there between the tenant, landlord, and us.
I just want to clarify a couple things.
Sure.
Thank you for defining affordable housing as a third of income. I do want to qualify, that's gross income, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so the gross income. And the supply and demand that you talked about, price of housing is, basic economic supply and demand, but that also works the other way. We have to be careful not to overshoot and oversupply, because then value of housing drops. And for most people and families, housing is the single largest component of their wealth, and that's the beginning of generational wealth.
You make a great point. I don't think we're in danger of that happening for our region. That was the case for us, say, 10 or 12 years ago, when you go back to 2014, and that median home price was $125,000. Part of the headwinds that we were facing at that time to getting new housing construction is that builders couldn't build the home and have it appraised for what it cost them to build it. And so we needed our home prices to increase a bit so that it became a viable housing market for new home construction.
And that was going to be my third point is, you had the blocks there of what we can control and what we can't control in terms of housing. I would add one block, and that's builder confidence. And I don't know that you can quantify that, but it's real.
Yes.
Hickory is a living example of builder confidence. 20 years ago, builders had no confidence, especially on multifamily, that they would be able to rent those units long-term. And it's a substantial investment to build a structure like that. And with all that has been done around Hickory, I think, builder confidence is in a much better place today than it was 25, 30 years ago.
I think you're exactly right. I think that the investments that the city has made helps facilitate that. I think the city having a reputation as being a place that developers can, it's a reasonable place to do business with, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can go to some areas in the country where it's very difficult for them to work with that local government, and they just shy away from those communities.
Thank you so much. That was very good.
Well, and it's a chicken and egg thing relative to the city has to have growth in order to have the housing and industry, and you have to do what we've done over the last several years as far as the walkways and the other things for the infrastructure to get people here in order to fill the houses and the multi units.
Yes, sir. There has to be a demand, right?
Right.
You have to be an appealing place.
Right.
I had one more thing
Go
to say. The COG does excellent work in terms of pulling together this. And on the spectrum of housing, we also have in Hickory the unhoused. And I know there's a massive initiative, some grant funding that's come in for our whole region. And at some point, it would be good maybe to hear what the COG is doing and what some of those initiatives are.
Yeah, we can come back and do a presentation at some point with our homelessness response team and talk about the issues there. I would say homelessness is an altogether separate aspect of housing, and there are some large factors at play there that don't have to do with housing availability
And the market.
that cause the degree of the homelessness problem that we have.
All right. Well, Anthony, thank you so much. Your updates are always extremely informative, and we can't tell you enough how much we appreciate you and the entire staff. I know that housing is just one thing that you take care of at the Western Piedmont Council of Government. It's more than just for Hickory, it's for the entire region. So we greatly appreciate all that you and your staff do and being willing to come here and inform us from time to time. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I-
Thank you.
and I know we thank the board, which was, did a phenomenal job, the Housing Authority Board. I want to thank Anthony and the Western Piedmont Council of Government Board as well for their willingness to have the Hickory Public Housing Authority absorbed. I know at one point he may have been thinking what he got himself into, but he and his staff did a phenomenal job with that, and we really appreciate your willingness to do that.
And I
Great,
think
thank you
that's,
very
I
much.
think you and I talked like every other day
Yes.
for a while. So.
and I do
We're
think-
sorry about that.
I think, too, that shows the collaboration between Western Piedmont, how you and your staff coordinate all the counties, and then the collaboration with the city to make that happen. It was Wonderful.
Appreciate your partnership on that as well.
Thank you.
All right.
And I'd say the biggest step in this direction started in the early 90s, even before my time, building that water plant so that we have that infrastructure too.
All right, anything else? All right, next on the agenda, item number 5 is persons requesting to be heard. We always take an opportunity at every council meeting to allow anyone in the audience that would like to address the council to have the honor to be able to do that. We'll certainly do that this evening. We just ask that you approach the podium, that you state your name and address, and that you limit your conversation to 3 minutes or less. So at this time, I'll ask if there's anyone present in the audience that would like to address the council this evening. All right, there doesn't appear to be anyone that would like to address the council this evening. As always, you don't have to wait until a council meeting. We all make ourselves readily available by various means, and you can pretty much contact us anytime. Item number 6 on the agenda is the approval of our minutes from our regular meeting of August the 19th. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? That carries unanimously. Item number 7 is our reaffirmation ratification on second readings, and once again, I'll entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All of those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? That also carries unanimously. Item number 8 is our consent agenda. I'll ask if there's any member of council or staff that would like to have any items removed from the consent agenda this evening.
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? That carries unanimously. All right, we have one public hearing this evening to introduce our one and only public hearing. I'll turn it over to our city manager, Mr. Warren Wood.
Thank you, Mayor Guest, members of the City Council, Mr. Swanson. We've been talking about housing a lot and community development. So tonight we have consideration of the FY 24-25 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, also known as the CAPER, for submission as required by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. It'll be presented by Community Development Specialist Annabeth Walker. Sorry.
Good evening, Mayor Guest, members of council, Mr. Wood, Mr. Swanson. As Mr. Wood stated, I will be doing a public hearing on the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, also known as the CAPER. So as an entitlement recipient of Community Development Block Grant funds, the city is required to submit a performance report annually to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. It outlines how the city spent its funding and what goals were accomplished in the previous year. So the CAPER currently under consideration covers the period from July 1st of 2024 to June 30th of 2025. So our project expenditures for public infrastructure, we did $31,121.62 was used to improve Cliff Teague Park. These improvements included exterior painting and interior improvements. We have a before picture and after pictures of what it looks like. We also had housing rehabilitation program, $124,910.47 was used to rehabilitate 4 homes occupied by low and moderate income homeowners. $1,880 was used to promote fair housing, was used to purchase newspaper ads and social media advertising to inform residents of their fair housing rights. And $75,733.46 was used to administer the program during the 2024-2025 year. This is a before and after of one of our housing rehabilitation homes. So for this home, we replaced the bathroom vanity in the guest bathroom, flooring, and put up a stand-up shower for accessibility. We also secured all loose electrical outlets and replaced the sink base cabinet, bottom shelf, and replaced plumbing, cut excess dryer duct hose, and replaced a deck step. We also did 9 CDBG public service activities, so that's the nonprofit agreements, the nonprofit grants. So We did $7,500 to Alpha, which assisted 42 individuals. We did $7,000 to Exodus Homes, assisted 92 residents. $6,500 to Family Care Center, which assisted, it's not on there, 41 individuals. Salvation Army Boys and Girls Club, $7,000, assisted 52 individuals. Hickory Soup Kitchen, $7,000 was used to serve 315 meals per day to 190 individuals. Catawba Science Center, $7,000, assisted 61 individuals. Women's Resource Center, $5,000, assisted 50 individuals. Greater Hickory Cooperative Christian Ministry, $7,000, assisted 1,035 individuals. And the Council on Adolescents, $6,000, assisted 678 individuals. Another project that was not on this presentation was a $4,000 micro enterprise grant to Golden Rule Music School, and that was used for advertising and to purchase equipment. Our upcoming projects are improvements to Hickory Optimist Park, continued promotion of the Small Business Loan Program and Micro Enterprise Grant programs to assist local businesses, continuation of housing rehabilitation program, and the continued support of local nonprofits to help the homeless and needy in the community. And I will entertain any questions.
Any questions for Annabeth?
I just have one.
Yes, sir.
The rehab work that is done, is that done through a person chosen by the homeowner, or does that come through the city of Hickory?
So those come through the city of Hickory. We bidded that out, and it goes to the lowest responsible bidder.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Annabeth.
Thank you.
All right, this will be a public hearing, and we have some rules pertaining to public hearings. Once again, we ask that if you would like to speak, that you come forward to the podium, that you state your name and address. We will limit the conversation to 15 minutes for those who are opposed and those who are against or for. And if necessary, we'll take up to 5 minutes for rebuttal or rebuttal. So at this time, I'll declare the public hearing open and ask if there's anybody that would like to speak in opposition of the information that you've just heard shared by Annabeth. There doesn't appear to be anyone that would like to speak in opposition. I'll ask if there's anyone present that would like to speak in favor. There being no one desiring to speak, I'll declare the public hearing closed and entertain a motion and discussion from council.
Move approval. Second.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of approval of the fiscal year 24-25 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? All right, that carries unanimously. Let's see, next item is our departmental reports, appointments to boards and commissions. I'll ask if there's anyone present on council that would like to make an appointment to a board or commission this evening. All right, doesn't appear to be any this evening. Any matters not on the agenda?
No, sir.
All right, general comments, I have just one. Just a reminder that our 9/11 Patriots Day Remembrance Ceremony will be held, of course, on September 11th on Union Square at 10 a.m. And, of course, the public is invited to attend that remembrance ceremony. Anyone else have anything?
I just have one thing. Temperatures are starting to drop. I think we're going to have 90s close to the weekend, but we're entering the cooler phases, and heaters will be coming on, things like that. So, Chief Hutchinson, on your behalf, everybody check their fire, or their smoke alarms, those types of things. I did mine yesterday, actually. So, just a public service announcement.
And also, I mean, the fire department always is helpful in providing not only, I think, do we still have some available? I know that every year that you provide not only the fire alarms and smoke detectors, but the batteries and checking them and things like that. Is that still ongoing? Good. Okay, good. Anything else? All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Thank you for being here this evening.